Young boy helps stranded millionaire. What happened next will change your perspective. The scorching Kentucky sun blazed down on the quiet road, its heat radiating off the pavement in shimmering waves. Inside his sleek silver Mercedes, Matthew Evans, a wealthy businessman in his late 70s, drummed his fingers impatiently against the steering wheel. He sighed, adjusting the air conditioning in a futile attempt to combat the oppressive warmth. The car sat motionless on the side of the road, its front tire deflated and useless. Stranded miles away from his luxurious mansion, Matthew found himself in an unfamiliar and deeply uncomfortable situation. He was used to control, to solutions, to things working in his favor. But now, with no cell signal and no roadside assistance in sight, frustration gnawed at him. Just as he was resigning himself to a long, miserable wait, he noticed movement in the distance. A boy, no older than 13 or 14, walked toward him, his pace steady and assured. He wore a faded t-shirt and worn-out sneakers, his clothes dusty from the road. Yet there was something about the way he carried himself that caught Matthew's attention. A quiet confidence, an ease that seemed far beyond his years. The boy approached and, without hesitation, offered a nod. "Got a flat, sir?" Matthew straightened in his seat. "Yes. Unfortunately, I do. My phone's got no signal, so I was hoping for some help." The boy smiled, his expression unbothered. "I can help with that." He knelt beside the tire, running his fingers over the rubber. "My grandpa taught me how to change a tire last summer. You got a spare?" Matthew gestured toward the trunk. The boy popped it open, retrieving the necessary tools with practiced ease. Matthew watched, an unfamiliar sense of humility creeping in. He wasn't used to being on the receiving end of help, especially from someone so young. He reached into his wallet, pulling out a few crisp bills as the boy wiped his hands on his jeans. "Here, take this," Matthew said, extending the money. "I really appreciate your help." The boy took a step back, shaking his head politely. "Thank you, sir, but I don't need anything. Just happy to help." Matthew stood there, money still in hand, as he watched the boy turn and walk away. A stranger appearing out of nowhere, offering help without expecting anything in return. It left him unsettled in a way he couldn't explain. That night, as he sat in his grand, empty home, sipping scotch and staring at untouched dinner, his mind drifted back to the boy. Something about the encounter had struck a chord deep within him. In all his years of business, all his dealings with partners and employees, there had always been an expectation, a trade. But this boy, he had given without wanting anything in return. The next morning, an inexplicable pull led Matthew back to that stretch of road. He had to find the boy. He had to understand. Hours passed as he stopped at diners and gas stations, asking about a boy who fit the description. Most shook their heads, until finally, an older woman behind the counter at a small cafe wiped her hands on her apron and said, "Sounds like you're talking about Elijah. That boy's always helping folks. Lives with his mama over in Harlan." Harlan. An hour away, nestled in the Appalachian foothills. Matthew drove, thoughts swirling. What kind of life did this boy have? What kind of family raised someone with such quiet dignity? When he arrived, he found a modest home at the edge of town. The house was worn but clean, its porch sagging slightly. He knocked, and a woman in her early 40s answered, her eyes sharp with curiosity. "Can I help you?" Matthew cleared his throat. "I met your son yesterday. Elijah, right? He helped me with a flat tire." The woman's face softened with a small smile. "That sounds like my Elijah. He's always helping folks." "I wanted to thank him properly," Matthew said. "He wouldn't accept anything from me." She nodded, stepping aside. "He's out back. You're welcome to wait." Matthew stepped inside. The home was simple, filled with warmth. Old furniture, family photos, hand-drawn pictures that looked like they came from a younger Elijah. It was a stark contrast to his own pristine mansion, yet something about it felt more alive. In the backyard, Elijah was repairing a fence. When he saw Matthew, he grinned. "Hey, mister, what are you doing here?" Matthew hesitated. "I couldn't stop thinking about yesterday. You helped me when I needed it. I wanted to return the favor." Elijah tilted his head. "I didn't do it for a favor." I just helped because I could. The simplicity of the statement hit Matthew like a wave. He saw the patched fence, the worn-down swing set. This boy didn't have much, yet he still gave freely. It was a lesson Matthew hadn't realized he needed. Determined, Matthew set plans in motion. Within a week, trucks and workers arrived at Elijah's home. The house underwent a transformation. The porch was reinforced, the roof repaired, the backyard swing set replaced. Elijah's mother protested at first, but Matthew simply said, "You gave me something I didn't know I was missing. Let me give back." Elijah, at first hesitant, soon watched in awe as construction crews worked. One worker noticed his curiosity and invited him to learn. Soon, Elijah was asking questions, soaking in knowledge like a sponge. On the final day, as neighbors gathered, Elijah's mother turned to Matthew, eyes glistening. "You didn't just fix a house. You gave us hope." Matthew smiled, feeling a warmth he hadn't in years. "I think you gave me more than I gave you." As the sun set, Elijah looked up at him. "Mr. Matthew, I've been thinking. I want to do what you did one day. Help people." Matthew placed a hand on his shoulder. "You already are, Elijah. Never lose that." And as he drove away, he knew this was just the beginning. Sometimes, the smallest act of kindness can change a life. If this story moved you, share it. Let's inspire more kindness in the world. Subscribe to Hidden Truths for more powerful stories that touch the heart and remind us of what truly matters.